Hello, Coffee and Combo listeners. Thank you for tuning in again. I hope you are all well out there. It is your host, Liz Bullard. Stay tuned right after this ad, and we'll get right into the episode and right into the conversation. So again, thank you for listening, and I hope you all remain well out there. Hi, Coffee and Combo listeners. Here's just a quick ad before we get started. So go and check out and download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm if you've ever thought about starting your own podcast. With Anchor, it's completely free to use all the tools. There is no subscription required. So you can create your own podcast from start to finish using the app or website. You also get access to different tools like adding background music when you create your podcast with Anchor. Anchor distributes your podcast with just one click of a button. Your podcast will be available on Spotify, Apple, and many more sites. The bonus with Anchor compared to other podcasting sites is you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So if you're interested in podcasting or you have an existing podcast, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to start using the app and creating your ads and creating your podcast. So as always, thanks for listening, and please like, share, and find Coffee and Combos on Instagram and Facebook. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Taking it one day at a time.
I hear you. I was like, you know what? Before I get on here, let me make my coffee. Let me situate everybody before I even sit here, because you know how that's how it goes. And then before you know it, it's chaos and in the middle recording.
You know what I mean? It's I have to say, I'm surprised at how busy it got while being on quarantine. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a good time. Just gonna relax, put my feet up. Like, there's still stuff to get done.
It's I feel like I'm busier now than ever before.
Absolutely. But anyway, before we get too into it, too off topic, thank you and welcome to Coffee and Combos. I appreciate you sitting with me.
I am super excited to be here. I wanted to join you as soon as you launched this podcast, which I think is amazing. And I'm just glad that this was, everything is in time.
Absolutely.
So it came at a perfect time to really be able to have this conversation.
Absolutely. And you know what? We'll get into timing a little later because you're launching something. But let me introduce you to everyone. So everyone listening, I am sitting with my friend Alba, Reveron-Perez. She is a master coffee artisan and owner of Alba's Cafècitos. Did I say that?
Ooh, right? Yeah, girl, get that accent in there.
And I will let you talk about your business and things like that. But first, I know your company is a coffee company, but I do know you also drink tea. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, I'm a coffee girl. I learned how to drink tea. Funny you mentioned it, with you and Christina and the Win ladies. I didn't drink tea before, not the way we would when we would sit together and have our conversations. I learned how to drink it really with you girls, especially with you. You always had like these different flavors to go and explore for. So I'm really more of a coffee drinker, and that comes culturally. In my family, it was something that you looked forward to doing at the table with your tias, with your aunt. And if you became old enough, which was usually right after your sweet 16 or your quinceañera, you got to now join in the adult woman conversation. And that's where nurturing the culture of coffee, which is our slogan for Alba's Cafècitos, is why we have it. It's nurturing conversations, nurturing the culture of what it means technically when you visit Latino household, it's one of the first things they offer you is, can I offer you a cafecito? Can I offer you a coffee? And then we'll offer you tea if you're not a coffee drinker, or water, or, a refreshment of some sort.
And I love, because in thinking about coffee and combos, that's why I went with the name, because whenever I would sit down, like with my mother, she would always get her, I would get my tea, and that's when great conversation happened. It was always over something warm, and I think that's the great thing about coffee and tea. It just has a way of bringing you together and being comforting.
Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. Our best conversations, and when we say conversation, it's not like, how's your day? I mean, we would get deep into these combos, and they would always happen over what my aunt would always say, coffee and compañía, company. Good company with the coffee is always a great conversation starter. So, I grew up with that, and so then it became like, whenever we needed to de-stress, whenever we needed to make big life decisions, we would all get together, have our coffee or our tea, and sit down and hash it out, and brainstorm, and just really get a chance to connect. And for me, that was one of the pluses of really launching my business, the coffee business specifically.
So I just think there's just something about food that it's comforting, whether you're happy, whether you're sad. It really is a comfort, at least for me. That's where all my great memories are surrounded by food and great company. But tell us a little bit about Alba's Cafecito. So what kind of coffees and things? I know that you're very about local and fresh. Tell us a little bit more about the coffee.
So our coffee is an artisanal organic coffee company. We locally roast in Trumbull, Connecticut. Our beans are sourced directly from farms. So we have our Casa Blend, our decaf, which is Vida de Oro, and our Jack's Espresso. Our Casa Blend is from Guatemala, Sumatra, and Colombia. Colombia has the best quality of coffee, I think, in the world. They were leading for a very, very long time. I know that right now I haven't done my latest research just yet, which usually comes next week. I have like time frames for those. And they dropped down a little bit because Guatemala pushed forward, and now they're serving some really delicious beans. And the reason we chose Guatemala was because it's a female-owned farm. And that was important to me because culturally, farms, land, and things like that in South American countries don't get passed down to the female, even if she was the oldest. It usually gets passed down to the sons or a nephew. And if she gets married, it gets passed down to the husband, and it's no longer in the hands of the family. It became the husband's farm. Wow. And one of the things that I absolutely loved about choosing the Guatemalan coffee was that it was because of a female-owned farm. They worked closely with an organization called Café Femenino, which is feminine coffee. And they are an organization, they're a nonprofit who empowers women to become their own owners, and educate them on really how to go about the legalities of being the owner, and encouraging the dads to, hey, pass it down to your daughter. She's been cultivating with you from birth. She's been there with you. She knows the business. Let's get away from the stereotype. Yeah. And just really pass it down. So that's my passion for the Guatemalan bean. It's not only delicious, but it was with a good cause behind it. And so we chose it. And as a woman myself who is in a male-dominated business, which is the coffee industry and mainly the food industry, I thought it was really important to really hone in on that. And I'm all about empowering women and moving that also forward. And then lastly is our Sumatra. Sumatra is also a female-owned farm. And they cultivate some really dark, rich flavors, almost like cacao. It tastes so chocolatey. You don't even think you're drinking coffee sometimes when you source that bean. And that to me was like the essence of a house blend where for me, my house is where we were female dominant until Jasper, which is my new baby nephew, came along. So now it's more men than women in the house. But we are three really strong women. I have over like 600 tias. And so I came from a line of a lot of strong women, and I wanted to make sure that that strength in my coffee was there, and that richness of that smooth chocolatey flavor, because I love chocolate. Who doesn't love chocolate? I don't know, but I do. So that was the importance of our Casa Blend.
I love that. And I love that your brand and your coffee all go along with who you are and who your family is. Like there's a nice connection story there versus feeling like it's not connected. And I just think that's very just important to do things that are very on brand. Because you're never a fail there. You know, you'll always have the integrity of the product. You'll always feel good because there's that connection between this is my representation of me. So I love that.
Yeah. And another reason with why I named it Alba's Cafècitos, the word cafecito instead of just Alba's coffee, is, you know, I'm a Latina and I want to show my fellow Latinx community we can do all kinds of wonderful things. And I wanted to embrace that and show my child, my son, that, you know, the sky's the limit. There's nothing that's impossible. And so, and being true to my culture, and I said, you know what, Casa Blend instead of House Blend, because that's, you know, we speak Spanish and we're proud of it. And, you know, I really wanted to just make sure it represented me and who we are collectively very well. So I'm glad that it translates for everyone else, because I get passionate, but I don't know if people see it, you know, sometimes.
You know, absolutely. I didn't really notice until you said, you know, casa versus house. You know, it really, you know, coffee versus cafecito. You know, I think it really, again, goes to like, no, this is my brand. It's a connection of me. I'm connected to it. And, you know, even about being locally, you know, going, you know, from Trumbull to, you know, and finding a woman-owned business and things like that, you know, the cocoa, all these things that represent, I think really make your brand special. And I think that people really notice that and see that when they explore your brand and your products.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, because sometimes you put so much work and you wonder if people notice. And you know, and I've had some really wonderful connections and wonderful people, from business owners to just my regular customers, which I am missing. I'm missing so much right now, just because I'm so used to being around so many people and connecting all the time, that this situation here has me missing our coffee stations and our catering services, because we would really that was a chance for us to have convos and connect with the heartbeat of your company, which is the customer.
Tell me a little bit about all this. I know you mentioned a little bit like the catering and things like that. How has this COVID situation impacted your business?
Well, it impacts,
because
you
are like a local small business, and I think we've heard a lot about the larger businesses being impacted, but like our local businesses, our smaller businesses are also impacted. And we hear about, like, you know, they have access to funding and stuff, but how has this been for you, this process for your business?
It's been a little hard, just because I did get nervous. I didn't want to provide product without knowing what the countries that my product comes from was looking like in numbers. Remember, rural and farming, although they may be far apart from each other, a lot of times they don't even have access to proper health care. So what does that look like for us? You know, that was something that I completely halted. My website at this point is not even up and running, because I was getting a lot of people going in and ordering because they're home, they're online shopping. And although I greatly appreciate the business, I don't have a product for you because I want to be safe. And I want to be safe for everyone. So when it came to product, I had to pause. And so there's no income coming in, obviously, because there's no business running per se. And the catering aspect, everything that I had landed some really awesome clients. I still have them. It's not like they went away, they disappeared. But we had all these catering events happening from May till almost October. Everything got rearranged, canceled events. So that also hits us hard because I can't cater through the door or through the window, because we do rent a commercial kitchen. So even if that business that lets us rent their kitchen, well, they're closed because they are also being precautious and didn't want to risk their workers. So they decided to close instead of stay open. I can't run our Cafècitos to go program. So all of those little things have affected us, but it hasn't dampened our spirits. I took this opportunity to say, well, let's revamp. I started guiding my charcuterie tables and sourcing new products to taste, touch, and feel and see if we can revamp our menu. Taking time to hone in on recipes that I enjoy with the coffee and see how I can make them better and healthier. So I took this as an opportunity to better our ingredients, better our products, and better even myself as a business owner, keep learning, keep growing.
Really found like, how can I let this grow my business? And you started something that's quite interesting. This 7-day wholesome eating challenge. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So I've been on this journey. This is how Alba's Cafècitos was actually born. I have been 5 years in wholesome eating. Wholesome, the word means healthy. Okay. But when you tell people healthy eating, they're thinking instantly diets, cardboard, and salad.
Yes.
And wholesome eating means healthy. Quality ingredients, organic, fresh produce, fresh meats. Because let's face it, I am not a vegan. I like to eat meat.
A lot of people, when they hear healthy, I think they think vegan, vegetarian, not like totally.
And so I decided, I've been doing this for a long time. I get a lot of people asking me for recipes. Like, I'm feeling not so great and I really would like a recipe. And then I realized, wait a minute. If we're all feeling this way and I'm providing you with recipes, why don't we just get together and do a 7-day wholesome eating challenge, which will get people, I give you the recipe. We're a community now where we can have the conversation of, I tried this vegetable. I am not a happy camper. That's okay, because it's okay not to forcefully eat something you don't like. And it doesn't have to be flavorless. It can be flavorful. Sorry for interrupting.
No. But I think that's a different concept, forcing yourself to eat healthy. You know what I mean? I think we talk about that like it's a bad thing, and we try and force on new products and new things that are quote unquote healthy. But like you said, you don't have to do that. If you don't like something, then just cut that out of your wholesome or your healthy lifestyle.
And you said the key word, lifestyle. Like I said, I've been making this change 5 years ago. 5 years now. About almost 7 years ago, I had diabetes. I didn't know I was a diabetic.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I was on so many medications. And I was like, this is not, I don't want to be like an 80, 90-year-old woman with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, my little pills all organized when I'm literally not even 30 years old yet at the time. It was very scary. My son was maybe 2, 3 years old when they told me this, and I was hospitalized because my sugars were 600. Yeah. And I said, oh no, I'm doing this. I started doing my research, and then I said, okay, well, let's try it. My doctor with me agreed. Let's do let's try it. You really want to try a food-based diet where you don't necessarily have to take all these medications. And that's where it all began. And when I realized that instead of using, I don't like using the name of products, but it's a seasoning, which is sazon. It's popular in Black and brown communities. And the adobo is popular amongst Black and brown communities. We put it on everything. And I realized the sodium intake and how bad this is for your body. And we've generationally passing down these two ingredients. You can't cook without it, can't cook without it, can't be flavorful without it. And I said, when did we start doing that? Because our ancestors, they ate from the earth. Their flavors were the natural fruits and vegetables and spices and herbs that came from the earth. We didn't cook like this before. So bringing that back, making that fresh, what do we call sofrito, which is like our pesto, right? With all these natural ingredients, garlic, cilantro, onions, peppers. Why aren't we using this more often, all the time, every day? And that's when I decided, you know what? I don't make my rice anymore with those colorings. I use turmeric. Turmeric colors your rice. I use all the flavors, switch my salt to pink Himalayan salt. But this wasn't just, I did everything in one day. It was, learning the value of garlic. Garlic adds a lot of flavor to a lot of things. Increasing the amount, how it's not only tastes yummy with your foods, it also has a health benefit. So I just kept digging and digging and digging. And before you knew it, I was changing all of my recipes that are passed down from my grandma and my aunts, my mom, to just switching out one thing that was not that great and adding something better.
Absolutely. And you're talking, I'm reminded, like, sometimes when we think of wholesome eating or not using the things that are high in salt or high in sugar, we think that it's going to be bland, or that, like, that's a very quote unquote white thing to do because it's not going to have flavor. You're just putting salt and pepper. But the natural wholesome ingredients have such flavor. And I found that out when I started doing, like, not necessarily organic, but like locally sourced ingredients. And like, never used to eat like blueberries. I hated blueberries. But then when I started doing local, I was like, oh, blueberries have a flavor. You know?
Exactly. My husband doesn't like greens. He doesn't like salad. He always complains that he's like, I'm not a spinach eater. And it was so funny because the other day I made a stuffed pork chop. It was stuffed with locally sourced spinach from a local farm. And I cooked it down with garlic and onion, and I added a little cream cheese because I love cheese. So I added a little cream cheese, and I stuffed it into that pork chop, and I pan-seared it with olive oil. So no deep frying. He forgot about the rest of his plate, and he's just chomping on this pork chop. And I look at him, I go, for someone who doesn't eat spinach, you're really enjoying that, aren't you? And he was up with this surprise, like, I just ate spinach. So now, and I had some carrots, and the blueberry experience happened to me with the carrots. I didn't realize how delicious carrots really were until I had it from a local farm in Woke, and I was in love. Like, I was making everything with these carrots because it was like, oh my gosh, it's so delicious. It's so flavorful. And they were taking in all the flavors. If I added a touch of salt and pepper or a little bit of olive oil or garlic, they were just soaking up those flavors. And I said, this doesn't happen when I get store-bought carrots, usually.
Which is so odd. It's so odd because, again, like, and it's a process. Because I didn't start off, like you said, going and getting, wholesome food and healthy foods and all this stuff. It was a process. I started experimenting at Whole Foods and found that I'm like, why is it at the grocery store? First of all, at the grocery store, I found that it was more expensive.
Yes.
And lacked the flavor. And I was like, what?
Absolutely. For the first time, I just met this farmer and I decided to go ahead and order from them. And And they're a family, they're local. It's just husband, wife, and kids. They're just doing all this awesome stuff at their farm. And I spent the same amount I would spend if I would have went to the grocery store on my produce. And they delivered it because of quarantine, and they still do this service anyway without the stay home, stay safe protocol. They delivered my products to me, so I didn't even have to go out, which was even better. And it's just huge box of amazing fresh produce. Like you could smell the dirt. That's how like fresh it is. And I started to like rinse and clean and look up like how I'm going to use these ingredients. And I was so floored as to I got more product for the same amount of money and better for me because it's locally sourced and only 2 to 3 people have touched it. The farmer, the wife, and the children. So, you know, the children who are helping. So it was even safer for me to order from them versus ordering from or getting stuff from a store who people touch things, put it back down. So there's just so many different reasons to be doing this. And absolutely, definitely the better point of it all.
Absolutely. You know, again, I used to think that I'm like, oh, it's a hoax, it's all food. But really, I just felt different and I noticed the change. I had more energy. You know, again, the food wasn't sitting there and sitting there. It just was different. And it's amazing how, you know, we don't talk more about wholesome eating or why we just don't put the effort into doing it. And so I wanted to kind of pick your brain and talk to you about, you know, why do we look at wholesome eating as a fad and just not common sense self-care? What do you think about that?
I've always seen it as that, and it's because most of the time that's the loop for selling you a product that is a quick, easy, drop weight, because usually that's what everyone's looking for. I want to be healthier, but they're really talking about weight loss. They're not talking about just overall health. And I think that's why when we use words like healthy eating, and this was key for me to use the word wholesome, because whole, as a whole, we want to be better. Mind, body, and spirit. And if you're not connecting yourself with the ingredients you're eating, mindful cooking, being mindful that what I am putting into my body is going to heal my body. And that's the part that people don't seem to connect, that's a self-care point. You can do yoga and you can do meditation. You can go jogging and exercising every single day. But if you're still stopping at McDonald's for a cheeseburger and you're still eating every single day that high sodium, high fat meal, you're really not doing anything.
Absolutely.
So that's where,
and again,
I'm sorry, you know, I'm not knocking it down. I do stop. I do grab sometimes a quick bite to eat. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm, you know, perfect. No, it's progress, not perfection. It's just every day taking one meal that we would normally stop somewhere else to eat it or not think about it 2 times. Just switch it out. That's all we're asking. You know, that's all I'm encouraging is saying, you know what, switch one ingredient or one meal or one thing that you would normally do to break out of the habit. And before you know it, you'll start seeing the difference. You'll start seeing yourself truly just choosing something better for yourself. And that's self-care, taking care of you.
The word in my mouth, and especially like while on quarantine where, you know, you're not out as much. And so like really in thinking about going to the fast food places and stuff, yes, that's gonna happen. We're talking about wholesome, the whole total you. One meal there is not gonna wreck your whole entire life. Every day, yes. But being home and being on quarantine and just experimenting with food more, cooking home more, I've had more energy. I felt better. Not so even like bloated and stuff like that, because it's just farm to table. Like, you know, like where the food came from, and there's not all that added preservatives and things so that it lasts longer. It's just literally the food.
Absolutely. I realized with myself that as I kept switching out, whenever I did eat something that maybe wasn't a wholesome meal per se. It wasn't, because sometimes I love burgers. I will tell you that is my favorite thing to eat is a burger.
Yeah.
And the way it sat and the way it hit my body, I realized, oh no, I can't do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, my body has now gotten so accustomed to eating this way. And I cook like this for everyone. I'm the one who cooks at home. We are a large family.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone eats what I made, whether they like it or not. Then there's their choice to say, you know what, next time, can you not put this on my plate? I prefer to replace it with something else. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to encourage those moms with 5 kids, involve them. Here's the recipe. You don't have to have all the ingredients. Today is the first day of our day 1 challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have sesame oil. I only have olive oil. Well, that's good too.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's a guide. It's not a end all be all. You have to make it this way or else you're not being wholesome. No, it's, if you got it. I didn't have organic chicken breast. I use my regular chicken breast. It's just, I'm preparing it healthier then, so it's just ways. The point of this was to have a community where we can all just have a chance to dish out, have these conversations, and let me help you and guide you to the goal that you want to achieve.
And I love that. I love guide, because I think, again, that breaks away that stereotype and that stigma between healthy or diet. It's really about using what you have on hand to make better meals. And again, like you said, switching out that one unhealthy meal. So like if you're going to skip breakfast, now add that. If you're going to eat out 3 times a day, we'll switch one and make it be a lighter meal or a more wholesome meal. And I think it really does make a difference. Going back to your point about when you had diabetes, and I remember when my mother had gotten diagnosed and she didn't know, and they give her like this little pamphlet of like healthy eating, and it's like, what do I do with this? Yeah, and when she took, it's really about taking control of your health and your life destiny. And when she started making smaller changes, it started leading to larger changes, and it made a difference because her medication dropped and it changed. All just, and again, she was not going and exercising and running.
Oh, trust me either.
It was all by changing what she put in her mouth. And it was amazing how just that one change made
absolutely. And now, like you said, I love to hear that, because like you said, one small change led to larger changes. And that to me is the point. One simple small step, before you know it, you naturally gravitate towards the better stuff, And then absolutely. I also want to encourage and teach people how to comb through all the fad stuff, like everything says organic now and everything says is this, but is it really good for you? Well, I have a nice list going because I've been doing this for a little while now, and I'm constantly learning and moving along and trying to do the research. While a mom who's busy or a dad who's busy going in and out working and doing their thing, they may not have time to do all of that. I'm here I did it for you. And I can guide you and give you some pointers. And then from there, you can make better choices for yourself and your family. And now you've learned how to do that because I did all the extra work for you. And that's where I am at this point with the 7-day wholesome eating challenge and building that community where, we'll then venture off to say, okay, so-and-so now, this is her goal, is to have less, nerve pains. Well, then her diet will become totally different because Liz may not need that. So absolutely. Then after this challenge is when we'll all kind of spread out and say, hey, Alba, I'm going to have you please guide me, do what we have to do to expand on this more wholesome eating. And I don't want to stop it there. I want to continue building a community where we can talk about these things, especially our Black and brown communities. I don't want to pass down diabetes and heart disease. I want to pass down generational wholesome eating. I want our children now moving forward to teach their children the way the coffee taught me how to have conversations, and the way coffee taught me how to connect with people. Well, the same goes with eating. You said it even earlier. We connect with food. Culturally, people in general, connect with food. It's the easiest way to break bread with someone. Well, let's make that a whole wheat multi-grain bread instead of just white bread. Just make a healthier one, that's all.
I love it. And you know what? I honestly have to say, I was not a believer in healthy or wholesome eating until I tried it and my life changed. And I began, because I used to be so tired. I used to be so groggy. And then, again, just changing, even as far as not just the vegetables, but the meat, eating meat that was local. I wasn't heavy. I used to eat and get so tired, and then after changing that, I was like, oh. And then what the other thing too, just feeling fuller. I started putting more vegetables on my plate and still feeling full. Because before, talk about things being passed down. It's like, oh, put a whole lot of meat on your plate. But no, I incorporate more vegetables and fruits through my meals, and I'm feeling so much more full because of the fiber. And it's just, again, I just am amazed by how much food just transforms your health.
Absolutely. And we have to eat it. It's the inevitable, right? We have to eat. We get hungry, we have to eat. So why not put stuff in your body that gives you energy and that makes you a better you? And I agree 100%. It is not something that overnight, voila, I did it. It took me a long time. I'm still working on it. I'm still working at it. And two, just locally, we have some amazing restaurants that do offer wholesome meals. Locally in Waterbury, to be specific, in Connecticut, we have awesome restaurants who offer really delicious, wholesome meals and options that if you want to go out and have a good time, there's plenty of places right here in hometown, like I say, and you have choices and options.
And I love how you local restaurants, because again, it's not that you can't ever eat out when you're trying to eat wholesome. It's about choosing the better restaurants, or like not even better, but just restaurants who align with the same health values as yourself, which is local, fresh. And you feel so much different. And also bringing it back to a local focus here in Waterbury, do you think that this challenge through wholesome eating, that it would change a lot of the health disparities?
I believe so. I think that we see a lot of health disparities because we haven't been taught how to properly consume in a way that benefits our bodies. I think we've been taught, like I said, this is generational. This doesn't come from yesterday. This comes from years and years of passed down habits. You learn how to cook from your grandma, from your auntie, from a neighbor, and how they cook is how you cook. And if you don't know any better, you don't do any better.
So true. So true, because we see so much mental and physical health here in the city. And when you look at other communities that surround us who have like local farms and things, and I'm very grateful that we have the food hub here that has recently been opened, which allows local farmers to bring in fresh fruits and vegetables, because we have, I'm trying to think, like 4 or 5 or more grocery stores, but we don't really have an opportunity for locally fresh foods that you see in other places. Other communities around us, they have the farms. Even if you look at like the ice cream places that are locally around us, they have like, you see the cows, like
you hear the mooing as you pull up and grab your ice cream. I think that for us locally here, having places, and these are not paid sponsors or services of any kind, but just having restaurants that are really, again, I push Black and brown owned because those are where the most disparities lie, um, especially
Yes.
when it comes to the way we eat. And just knowing that we have two places locally that they offer vegan options, they offer wholesome eating, they offer, just quality products in a different way. And they're here and they're local. They have this nice flair of flavor and deliciousness, and it's available. And so
And
just
that's
knowing what's available to
yeah.
you is, I think, is very important.
Absolutely, and we've been exposed within, I think, the city to different eating
Yes.
lifestyles, as you mentioned, the vegan and the vegetarian options. There's not many, because we do have quite a few chain
Yes.
restaurants here, which again limits your exposure. And I think when you're talking about breaking generational health problems and things like that, it's about exposure to different lifestyles. And I think, the more that we can engage people, whether it is online or with different restaurants in the city, the better health outcomes
Absolutely.
that we can have.
And like you said, now we have the hub that offers these delicious and fresh produce and things like that. And the more we keep talking about it and having conversations about it, the more we teach our children about agriculture and the importance of having a garden or vegetable garden, or knowing how to having access to those things if you don't know how to grow your own, because I sure don't. But just knowing and teaching them that there's access right in the neighboring town. There's a lot of little farms. You can go to these farms and grab what you need. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a supermarket. But if it does come from a supermarket, this specific supermarket has cheaper options for you, but they're still good. So I'm a big advocate for just resources, knowing and learning where you can pull from, where can you get quality products.
Absolutely. Alba, listening in, if they're saying, oh my gosh, I didn't start the 7-day challenge when everyone else did, how can they join this and just get on day one?
Okay, so if you just go ahead and go on Facebook, you will follow Alba Jessie is the handle, Alba Jessie, and then when you click on it, the challenge, there's a group. Look for the group and ask to join, and then I'll click you right in, and we'll connect you to what you need. If you want to just reach out to me, you can always email me at albascafecito@outlook.com. And we can go ahead and connect you to the right and link you to the right resources for the challenge.
It really is super important. It's about a quality of life.
I'm really excited because we literally spoke about it like a week ago, right? And then I decided to go ahead and launch it with another fellow podcaster who kind of grabbed me at the right time. And on Sunday, and by Monday we were ready to rock and roll, like ready to do this. And so far we've had, last I checked, like 22 members joined instantly. And it keeps growing. My phone is kind of going off, and I keep like ignoring the messages because before we end tonight, I'm sure we'll have a few more. And that's exactly what we want. We want just everyone to connect, and also not be afraid to share their experience, their food experiences. I ask people to, once they're on and logged in and joined, to introduce themselves, but not just themselves like, hey, I'm Alba. It's, hey, I'm Alba, and I've been years with the struggle of, and it's a safe space to say, I've been struggling with X, Y, and Z, and I need help. I need guidance. And so that's what we're here for.
Love it. I love it. And before we get into our last segment, anything you want to share about your business, anything else you have going on?
As of right now, I think that's the main focus is, this challenge and really getting people involved in eating wholesome. And you'll have given them access to getting how to get in contact with me. So I really appreciate that. And I encourage everyone, just swap out one thing that you wouldn't normally do for something wholesome.
I love it. And so before we get into our last segment, I just want to make a shout out to Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Germany. I have listeners from those three countries. So thank you for listening to Coffee and Combos. I hope that you continue to share that worldwide and join Alba's challenge worldwide. I think that this is such a movement. And again, food, at least for me, is such a moving and inspirational
Absolutely. And you know, once our coffee company is back up and running, we ship internationally, so you even get to have some of that delicious coffee. It doesn't matter where you're ordering from, we ship internationally as well. So this is exciting. Congratulations on those worldwide listeners. That's awesome. And again, you're right. It's a movement, and we need to keep encouraging people.
Absolutely. And so this last segment here, this is the What's in Your Cup segment. And for this segment, I'd like to ask people, what are 3 things that you're adding to your cup of coffee or cup of tea today to get you through the day? And so for me, what I would be adding to my perfect cup would be grace, rest, and wholesomeness. You know, I think really this conversation really just re-inspired my love and joy for food, and I'm like looking for something comforting. I'm looking for a little rest because again, like we talked about, I'm so busy while I'm and you know, just grace that, you know, some days you're just gonna mess up and you're not gonna eat wholesome. Some days you're just not gonna get it together. So just that grace of like, we're all human, we're gonna get through this. So Alba, what 3 things would you put in your
right now in my cup is appreciation. My appreciation for friendships like ours, and in the world, the different people that support me and encourage me every day. My second would be love. I can't make my cup of coffee without love in my heart. And I would have to say the same as rest in mind, body, and spirit. I think when we think about rest, we just think about sleep. So maybe the word instead of rest would be peace. You know, making sure you have peace with yourself, peace with others, and just even peace with your neighbor at this point. I think that with things that are happening around the world, not only with this pandemic, but just in general, we need to start really honing in on humanity. And so that's what's in my cup.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Alba, I can't wait to have you in this challenge, not this challenge, this podcast again. I will
absolutely
see you on your challenge. Listen, I'm looking for tomorrow with the roast.
that was a very popular one in the house. Everyone absolutely loved it. So I was excited to put that together and share it. Absolutely. So I will see you a little later because I will be going live. So for those of you who want to join us, feel free to quickly go ahead and check us out on Facebook, which is Alba Jessie, and then we'll link you to the 7-day Wholesome Food Challenge. And I'll be going live at 6 p.m. So get your healthy, wholesome snacks ready and your glass of favorite thing to drink. Mine will be wine this evening. And I'll see you there.
Thank you, Alba.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.